Hello, my name is Hope Hokaki. I'm an HR consultant and life and success mindset coach. Welcome to the Live Fully podcast, where we touch on everything in regards to growth, evolution, personal development, as well as some story times and interviews to keep it interesting. My hope is to bring you value and inspire you, entertain you, in order for you to live a more fulfilled life starting now. Thank you for tuning in, and let's get started. Welcome to this week's podcast. This week, I want us to touch on anything to do with time management, with priorities, productivity, and give you kind of my tips and tricks on how I'm very intentional with my planning and how I kind of pivot when I need to in different phases of life. Right now, I'm a new mom to a new baby and I have a toddler. So I had to reprioritize, I had to switch it up, I had to get more clear on what the schedule looks like. What am I prioritizing? What are my priorities in this season of life? And how am I juggling it all? And I wanted to come on here and share that with you guys and hopefully give you some tips, some tricks that you can apply to your life, that you'll feel more intentional, more happy. And even though you can be completely overwhelmed and busy, you'll be able to feel at ease and good and grounded because your bases are covered. You can have a completely booked out schedule and still feel fulfilled and happy because the things that are booked into it are not draining you. There's a balance between filling in your cup and emptying out your cup, whereas it's very well balanced and you're asking yourself the right questions and you are not essentially leading to a burnout. And you are as busy as somebody else who has the same maybe hours in their calendar, but they are completely depleted, completely burnt out. Of course, I knew I would start this podcast and my baby would wake up, so I will go get my baby. Let's see if I can breastfeed while I do this. We are working mom here. Let's go. Okay, guys, the baby just entered the chat. He's feeding. So this goes with my first point so well, which is priorities and values. So if you want to have a full out schedule and keep living your life and be a busy mom, a busy wife, a busy CEO, a busy employee, whatever it is that you are doing, if you want to still have everything going on for you and all of that, you just really need to be number one, so clear on your priorities and your values. And you really need to get clear on what those are for you, not what they should be, not what you think others decide what it is for you or what society is saying. Really get clear on like what is actually filling your cup and what it is for you that is so important that you will feel fulfilled. For me right now in this season of life, obviously my babies are my priority. So they really take over and they fill me up with so much joy, obviously, and I'm feeling good about it. And then obviously I'm taking care of myself. And that's kind of like a duality there in my calendar where I'm prioritized as much as them. And so if I'm taking care of, they're taking care of and vice versa. But it's the self-care of me and my babies that are the most important. So it's not the business, it's not social media, it's not the podcast, it's this first. So he's thirsty, he wants to feed, I gotta feed him. I booked this podcast filming right now this morning that I have an appointment that I have to run to, and the podcast is the one where I'm kind of being flexible with it because it is a priority for me to be showing up for you guys to film this informative content. But at this point in time in my life, what is important is to take care of me. So if I need to move anything around, it's the podcast that I'm moving around, the filming of the podcast, and not actually my babies or my appointments. So I'm working around that. So when you're clear on what your priorities are, then you're able to work around that. If you're an employee and you work a 9-to-5 job and like that's your priority and you're building your career and you're all in for work, obviously your 9-to-5 is the core of your day. It's the whole 8 hours of your day, the middle of your day, and it's going to be the bulk, and that's going to be your priority, and you're going to work around that. So this is a great example because oftentimes people are going to prioritize, let's say they're 9-to-5 and they'll work around it, but then they won't prioritize their health, themselves, their kids, and they'll move those things as if they're flexible. Those things are not flexible. Like my babies are going to be a 0 to 5 for 5 years. It's not going to happen again. It's not going to repeat itself. I can't do it again after as I could with my career, my business, or this podcast where I could film it another week, another day, another year. These babies are not going to be around and are not going to be this age forever. They grow so fast. So for me, I acknowledge that and I'm working around them right now. And I am embracing that season of life and I'm surrendering to it and I'm fully living in it, in alignment with it, and I'm fulfilled. Whereas you can maybe also be someone who's in a startup, you have no kids, you're starting your business and you're fully committing to that and you're putting it in your calendar and you're respecting it because it's a priority for you. So you determined this goal is a priority, it's in my calendar, I'm working around it. So the nights out with your girlfriends, the socializing, the whatever it is that's around it is going to take kind of a back seat because you're working around it. So let's get clear together. What are your priorities? What is a priority for you right now? And what is something that is really important And I want you to block it in your calendar. This is going to go into another point I'm going to tell you guys later on of time batching and time blocking, which are two amazing tools that when I heard, my mind was blown and I started using them right away. I absolutely love those tools. But yes, I want you to really get clear on your priorities, and your priorities are more linked with, like, let's say your goals and also your values. So we'll talk about that in a second. But your priorities are like, okay, what is right now front and center in my life? What is going to be blocking my calendar and that I'm going to work around, and I can move other things, but those are my non-negotiables. Those are going in my calendar. They're happening. Is it a workout? Is it time with your babies? Is it your baby's just schedule? Like whatever happens for them is like priority, and then you're moving stuff around that. Is it your career? Is it your new business? Is it your side hustle? Is it social media? Is it your relationship? Decide on what is your priority right now. And to help you on your priorities right now, what I want you to look at is I want you to look at your values. So I want you to go online, Google list of values. I want you to go through it right now, okay? And I want you to select what is important for me right now, what resonates with me right now, what in the values list that I'm looking at, which values are popping up and are very important to me this time in my life. And it's okay that they're changing. It's okay that you have a lot. It's okay that you have, let's say 10, and you're gonna then hunker down and decide which one they are. And it's normal that our values change. At the core, we have like values that are very deep to us and are, let's say, like our core, and sometimes those are even like our family values that our family passed on to us, or our society, where we can definitely change them. And I want to empower you guys to know that you can change them. When I started doing this personal development work and someone asked me my values, I was like, I don't freaking know what my values are. What do you mean values? Like, I don't know, like I'm just going about my life, right? I'm just living life. And I'm actually living my life with someone else's values because I never asked myself the question. So did you ever ask yourself the question? Did you ever take a moment to like sit down and ask yourself the question, look at a list of values, look at what's important to you, and kind of see what you resonate with, and be able to have a direction for your life in regards to those values? So it's very important to be able to look at that and to look at what's a priority for you. And what are your general values? Your values are kind of going to set the tone for your life, kind of set the tone for the kind of decisions that you make. I want you to be really intentional with the values that you want, and also ask yourself where I'm going, what are my goals, and where do I want to be? So if you looked at the identity podcast, that's the podcast number 1, go back to it if you want to listen. Who is the identity, and what are the values of the identity of the person that you want to be with the goals that you want? So let's say you want to be a successful business owner. What are those values of that person that is you in the future? I want you to think of that and look at that and start embodying that today. So it's important to like really also bridge the gap of like, I keep saying like, it's important to bridge the gap of the person you want to become and the dream person you want to be and your highest self. What values does this person have? What values does this person embody? What's important to them? And really start doing and looking at that for yourself. And I want you to write them down in your journal where you can go back to and look at every day, because if you're trying to switch your values and your priorities, you need to remind yourself constantly, because your operating system, which is your brain, is going to be doing things easy and what you've always been doing. So if your brain's been negative, has negative values or values that are not aligned with you, or priorities that are completely aligned or for somebody else, if you're trying to change that, you want it to be written down somewhere where you're seeing it every single day, and it's a constant reminder of like, okay, this is my intention. This is why we're talking about intentionally planning, because I can sit here and give you amazing productivity tips that worked for me. They might not work for you, and that's it, and you go on your merry way. But I don't want that. I'm a coach and I want to help you guys be intentional, because if you are intentional with your time management, you're intentional with your productivity, you will feel so fulfilled, and it will actually deeply fulfill and satisfy you, where you're going to really avoid burnout. As I said in the beginning, you can do the same time productivity method as somebody else and still feel burnt out and unproductive because it's not aligned. The number one key word to feel not burnt out and to feel happy and to not run out of energy is to be aligned. If you're doing aligned action, you can't be burnt out because you are not pouring from an empty cup. Your cup will be full because you're aligned, and since you're aligned, your cup is getting filled up, and it's getting filled by you or whichever circumstance you're putting yourself in. What I was saying is write your values and your priorities somewhere where you can remind yourself of them every single day, so you're actually reminded of them and you can start integrating them and changing into that person who has these values and these priorities. So this is the most important, because it sets the tone for your whole time management, because if you do not have this and you don't have your priorities set up, you won't be able to use the next tools I'll be speaking of effectively. And then that's where, even if you start slapping on more tools, slapping on more techniques, trying on new stuff, it won't vibe and it won't work for you because it won't be aligned with your values and your priorities. So it will essentially deplete you. You really want to be clear on what it is that your values are and your priorities so that we are going on the right direction. We have a direction, we have a vision that we're going towards, and we have a whole kind of idea of how our life is supposed to be set up. And that also means that when you have bad days and you have days that are not as great or things are not working out like they should for you, and that happens, or something comes up and you're sick, your babies are sick, or whatever it is that's going on, because you're so aligned and you're clear on your direction, the days like that are not going to stunt you and make you feel sad or depressed or like stop your momentum, because they happen. And because you know that overall you're kind of going in the right direction and you're still pushing in that right direction, and it'll make you feel motivated because you have a direction that you created for yourself and you have a vision for your life. So those small hiccups and those days that are stopping maybe your momentum, they won't stop your full flow, because you know that you're still going in the same direction. You are having maybe downs where you're having failures where you can learn from it, you can pivot again. Let's say for this podcast or social media, like I keep bored and getting more specific on like my schedule. When am I filming? How am I going to be able to film and show up for you guys? Because I was clear that I wanted to film a podcast. I was clear that I wanted to make content for you guys that's valuable, that's informative. And then I was getting clear on that. But then I didn't have like the nitty gritty, like every day, like where is it fitting in my calendar? How am I actually able to show up? How am I actually able to brush my hair and show up with a little bit of makeup on, with the babies, taking care of like all of these things, right? So I had to pivot. I had to change my podcast date to Thursdays. So the podcast is every Thursday, guys. Now, if you didn't notice, and if you're following me, it was Wednesdays, now it's Thursdays. But I'm pivoting and I'm working with that because I know that I needed sometimes to chunk down more and get more specific on what it is and how it is fitting in my calendar when it's something new. So I want you to be really kind with yourself and to be open, and to know that if you're clear on like kind of like the big picture for yourself, and we're really clear on like our whole big picture of our life and what is the vision for our life and the direction that we're going in, we'll be able to always go back to the drawing board and change that out. That's easy. And we can get more specific. We can chunk down more and get more specific and put it in our calendar and see how it's looking. Whereas if we're not even clear on our big picture and our direction, while we're just working on the small stuff and like the actions, the daily actions, and like putting it in our calendar, then we're not having a vision behind it. Then that's where we're going to get mixed up and like maybe going off track or whatever it is, because all your daily actions are going to change the direction of where you're going. But if you're clear on like your big picture, you're really going to be able to go in that direction. And I want you to have fun with it, get excited, go back to the identity podcast if you need to be more clear on the identity it is that you want for yourself. And if not, I really just want you to be really clear on your vision for your life and look at your values, look at your priorities. And then from there, we're going to start looking at the goals that this person, your highest self, does, the goals, the daily actions, the weekly actions, the monthly actions. What does this person do? What's important to her? What are her appointments? What is she putting in her calendar? How is she showing up on social media? How is she showing up for her family, for her relationships, all these things. This brings me to my point of having a clear idea, and it's going to help you with my next tip, which is using your calendar and your paper calendar, and like how, or use that if you want to use both or if you want to use one or the other. But I am a Google Calendar diehard. I absolutely love Google Calendar. And when you look at your priorities and your values, I want you to take that and I want you to make categories for your life. I can tell you my categories and you can use them, but the best thing is to really look at your values and your priorities and your goals, and from there make categories in your paper planner or in your Google Calendar. So what I mean by that is, if your health is really important for you, I want you to have like maybe a health category. If it's workouts and that's a subcategory of health for you and you want to plan your workouts out, I want you to have a calendar, so a category in your Google Calendar, which is creating a new calendar, and I want you to call it health, or I want you to call it workouts. And if you're doing paper, I want that to be in your paper calendar. For me, I think I have one that is wellness, and then I have one that's workout, and I think I have one that's also meals. So I want to be on top of my meals as a mom. I want to be clear on what I'm planning, when I'm doing my groceries, when I'm ordering my groceries, when I'm planning out my groceries, and when I'm making certain meals. Like literally, it's so silly, but if you really get down to like the nitty-gritty baby tasks, like chunk it down as much as possible and you put it in your calendar and use your Google Calendar. So that's my tip number 2. It'll help you take out all the guesswork, and when the guesswork is taken care of, you can show up and you can just do the thing, and then you won't be using your brain power that you need to be doing stuff like this that you want to be creative with. Because if you're using your brain power to be scattered and like trying to figure out when am I going to cook this meal that I planned in my calendar, and when I'm going to buy the ingredients, and when I'm going to do all these things. If you're already set and planned out and that's already structured and in your calendar, you'll have so much free brain power to do the fun stuff, the creative stuff, or do the strategic stuff, planning and all of that. So we need to take care of all the nitty-gritty. You really need to, first of all, get clear on your categories. Is it wellness? Is it health? Is it relationships? Is it social? So I have relationship. I have a calendar with my partner where I have a specific day. So that's time batching, where it's like that day is booked for the relationship. So if I have stuff that I want to book, like I want to book us a pedicure, we have one this week, or I want to book us a spa day, or I want to book us maybe a date night. It's going to be on Thursdays, because for me, I know that Thursday is relationship because it's an easy day to book something where we don't usually have stuff going on for work too much for my partner and I, and then there's like no one asking us necessarily for social stuff on a Thursday. So I know that it's free for us, and I can put that in there, and we can have like kind of maybe we had last week was two massages, or 2 weeks ago we had our massages, and then the week before that we had a spa day. This week it's a pedicure. So yes, get clear on your categories. Again, I'm going back to that. Sorry if I spiral, but this is a podcast. It's long form. We can have fun. I can take you on little story times and go back to my main point. But you guys can have more of like context, which I love. So get clear on your categories. Is it your side business or your business? Is it your work? Is it your children, your children's activities? What else do I have? I have social. I have self-love, like a self-love calendar where when I need to, I'll literally put in like a self-love date for myself. So like a reminder to take a bath, a reminder to do some drawing, a reminder to do a puzzle. Like when I need to prioritize self-love, that's in there, and I start using that calendar for myself, right? Or sometimes it's like my beauty appointments will fall into self-love. I have one for appointments, for my family's appointments. So there's all these categories that are clear in my calendar and that I can use. And what I love by Google Calendar is that because we have, I don't know for you, but as women, I think we're like this, and men, I'm not sure. I feel like men are more structured, but for women, I can speak on women. I think that we flow and ebb into different priorities in different moments in our life, especially if we are on our cycles, where if you look at your cycle and you start planning your life according to your cycle. We can talk about that more in another podcast. If you go back on my page, you'll find reels on that in my TikTok as well, but you can really look at Flow, or like go to the flow.com, FLO.com, and you can have so much info on your cycle and how it syncs with your life, and how we change over 4-week cycles, where we really need to be comfortable with change and comfortable with the fact that our categories and our priorities are going to change throughout the month. Google Calendar is amazing because you can set up like 10 different calendars and color code them, so you can change the colors and really have fun with the color. Mine are all like pinks and like nice blues and purples and greens, like all nice pastel colors. So my calendar for me is aesthetically pleasing. It's not the Google manly ugly colors that they usually have. So play with the colors, have fun, make it visually pleasing for yourself. And because you have all those calendars, depending where you're at in your cycle, or depending where you're at in your life, or which phase of life you're at, you'll be able to play and like use a calendar for a certain period of your life and then stop using it, but it's always going to stay there. And it's also for me a constant reminder of like, oh yeah, I have nothing booked in for self-love right now. I should add that in, sprinkle some of that in. Or I have nothing booked in for my relationship this week. Let me sprinkle that in. Or my social life, or my kids' appointments. What's happening there? Am I forgetting something? Am I forgetting an appointment for me? So that's really going to help you, because all the calendars are going to be on the side on Google Calendar. So if you're looking at me right now, I'm using my hands, but if you're listening to me on Spotify, on podcast, you'll know that your calendar has like a 4-day layout, or a 7-day layout, or a daily layout. And then on the side, or when you're booking on your phone, or if you're looking at your computer, there will be all the categories of the things that are important to you. Sit down, get clear on your categories, write them down, and put them in your Google Calendar by creating new calendars. And if you're using another calendar like iPhone, or maybe Asana, I don't know if Asana you can create calendars, but any calendar app you're using, I'm pretty certain that you can create calendars or categories, and then you can, depending on the event, you can change the calendar for that event. That is amazing. And it's also amazing if you want to share a calendar with your partner, or even with your girlfriend. I literally send invites to my girlfriends, and when I book an event for our partner, an appointment for me and my partner, I put it in our Nico and Hope calendar, and then it's there, and it's actually like in his calendar as well, and mine, and then we both see it, and then we both don't forget, and it's a priority for both of us, and it's put there, it's concrete, it's in the calendar, it's gonna happen. If it's not in your calendar, it's not gonna happen. All right, so your priorities are going to become your categories. Your values are going to become your categories, and your goals are going to become your categories in your calendar. So sit down and get clear on like what is it that's important, what needs to be booked in my calendar. If I go back to the grocery example, because I think it's a really important example, like if one of your goals is start eating healthier, that is way too big. We want to chunk it down. It's a great goal, good job. I want you to eat healthier, but we absolutely need to chunk it down. We need to bring it down into baby steps, and baby steps look something like this. That's how I broke it down for myself in order to be able to reach that. Is like I started looking at, okay, which day am I ordering my groceries? Sunday? Okay, Sunday I'm ordering my groceries. Where am I ordering my groceries from? Is it Metro? Is it GPA? If you're in Montreal, you know this grocer. Which one is it? And when do I need to order so I get an available time slot? Because you also want to have a time slot. You need to remove all the blocks that can stop you from reaching your goals. If you're ordering groceries online, there are time slots for certain groceries. So if you don't want to mess up your grocery order, you need to make sure you're ordering on the right day so you can have the right time slot for your groceries. For me, I know that if I order on a Sunday, usually there's a lot of time slots left for Marché PA and for Metro. So I know that those are my two, and I know that I'm good if I order on Sundays. So then on Sundays, I know I need to look at the meals of the week. What am I making for the week? So I need to get clear on what are our snacks? What are our meals for every night? Are those meals going to be able to go for leftovers for lunch, or are we going to eat all of them? That's a great question to ask yourself. You also need to know, like, are some of my meals things that I have in the freezer so that I need to unfreeze? Like literally put your calendar reminder to take out your salmon if you need to take out salmon and unfreeze it for the day for your night's meal. Like you really need to get clear and get so specific on your recipes and all those ingredients. So on Sunday, I look at all the meals I want to make and all the recipes I want to make, and then I look at the ingredients. I use those ingredient lists to make my order. Then I think of like my babies, what they need. They need milk. Do I need milk? What are the staples we need? I make sure they're also in my grocery cart. And then I make sure that all that's planned out so that when I receive my groceries, everything's there. And then I even plan out when am I going to make certain meals. So for me, Monday, and this is going to be my tip number 3, time batching. Monday for me is my like errand, meal prep, home day. I'm setting us up for the week for success. So Mondays, I'm receiving my groceries because I ordered them on the Sunday. And on Mondays, I'm literally meal prepping like the big stuff that I need for the whole week. So the soup of the week that I want us to have, because I want us to have a healthy vegetable soup every single meal. My baby is a toddler and he's also obsessed with soups. So I need to have a meal always ready, which is a soup. So he eats it, and then I like try to give him all the other meals that we're creating right now. He's starting to resist more and more. He's in that phase. He's almost 2. So he's in that phase of starting to say no to certain things. So I'm working on that. My point was to really chunk it down and get clear on like, when is the meal prepping going to happen? When are you going to actually make the recipe? Is it going to be right before you actually eat it? So when are you going to get home? Like, are you going to pick up your kid, come home with your kid? What's your kid going to be doing while you make your meal? You really need to think of all of the guesswork, like I was saying. And it sounds so tedious, but once it's settled and it's taken care of and you have kind of routines set in place and they're in motion, you'll have so much more room to be able to show up and to create, to show up fully to your social engagement, to your relationship, to your side business, because all the guesswork and the nitty gritty will be taken care of. This is my tip number 3, time batching. As a mom, and I really need to edit out all my so's, and I hope I did because I keep saying that, and I'm sorry that I keep saying so and like and all of this, but I feel like I'm slower this week and I'm more tired, so we get more filler words when I'm like that because my brain is like lagging, I feel, as a new mom. But let's get back to time batching. Time batching is amazing because you are using and you're looking at all your tasks that are similar, you're grouping them together and you're putting them on a certain day. How I did that for myself right now is that I chose Mondays to be kind of my mom, like meal prep, setting up the house, setting up our meals, setting up our life, planning it for the week so that I'm good and I'm set up for my week. And then Monday is a big meeting day and I know that I need meals ready. I know that I need to be myself, fully ready, fully grounded and like in my work, and not thinking about what am I eating, not thinking about my groceries, when am I going to meal prep, is my house clean, is my house decluttered, are the baby's kids' clothes clean, do I have clean clothes, does my partner have clean boxers? Like all these things are for Monday so that I can set ourselves up, because for me on weekends it's a family, like we're with the kids and I'm fully intentional and present with them. I have the groceries like planned out, meal prepping and the groceries ordered on Sunday, but then like that's it, and I'm fully present with our families and my babies. And so Monday is really like anything that has to do with setting up the week for success, meal planning, it's that. So I have fun, I stay home. I am also maybe like doing my hair for the week and having my big shower. So if you're a woman, you know this. We have a big shower where we're like doing all our hair, we're exfoliating our whole body, we're doing the nails and the feet and the face masks, all these things. I'm home on Monday, so that's a priority. So I can do my masks and my hair masks and my mask for my face, and then I can have a nice coffee, a nice tea. The baby's with me. Baby 1 is at daycare, baby 2 is with me, and we're like literally hunkering down, we're cleaning, we're prepping, we're getting ready for the week. So that's my Monday, and I'm time batching all my tasks that are similar to that on Mondays. And then I know that Tuesday is a focus for human resources consultation and all those meetings, and meeting with the owners for the group in which I do the biggest part of my HR consultancy. So I meet with them on Tuesdays, and the team I have that work for them for human resources. So I know that anything that's in regards to that, I can time batch and put there. And this will save you guys so much, because that means that whenever you have something that comes up for, like, let's say what I'm saying right now for HR and all of that, if I have something that comes up there, I know I can put it in my calendar for Tuesday, and I can stop thinking about it for the rest of the week, because it'll be placed on a certain day that I know that it's in the calendar, and I can show up there and I can treat it at that time, that I can stop thinking about it and have an open loop throughout the week. So an open loop is something that's like a task or a to-do that can be big or small, that's open in your head, and that's going to keep showing up and opening and coming back, because your brain is smart. It's like thinking of 7 things at once. It can remember 7 things at once. If you're going to the groceries, you can remember 7 items at once. But it's also not going to forget all the open loops you have. So if you have 20 open loops, whereas you have 20 tasks that you have to get done, or you have 20 things that you should be getting back to, if you're thinking of only 7 at once, it's going to be like a computer where it's like popping up a window. So like, you know, like if you have a virus in your computer, it's going to show up a window like, do this, do that, or like a virus on your computer. Your open loop, that's how it works. It's like every single open loop is going to be replacing itself in the 7 that are prioritized, and it's going to switch out and pop up and going to be bothering you all the time. You want all your open loops to be put in your calendar somewhere, or put on a piece of paper somewhere, so they stop popping up in your brain. As soon as it's on paper, as soon as it's in a calendar, you'll stop thinking about it. Like, return that package, call my mom, all these things that literally need to be put somewhere on a list and put somewhere so that you don't think about them all the time. So that's a like sub tip of my time batching. It's very important to be able to do that. So we're going to talk about time batching and then time blocking, and then it's going to be it for today. I think it's going to be more than enough to get really intentional. You have your tips and tricks for your planning, and then you have like how to really get intentional, which is getting clear on your priorities, your values, and breaking that into categories. How it's really going to help you is that if you're clear on which day is for what, so which day has which focus, you'll be able to take the tasks that are showing up and that are open loops and put them and insert them in certain calendar days, and know that they will get taken care of when you get to that day. So let's say for me, I know everything that's like personal care, home care, meal prepping, healthy, all of that stuff, health-wise and all of that is on Mondays, and I'm meal prepping and all of that. So if anything comes up in regards to that, I can plug it in there. And then if anything comes up in regards to HR consultancy, I can plug it into my Tuesday. For my Wednesday, I give it myself kind of like a joker day, but it's like, it's not a joker day. It's like a podcast filming, and what else is it? It's like podcast filming and appointments for myself. So then I book that, and a bit of like work at the end of the day, afternoon, where I want to reprioritize certain coaching meetings that I had, and I want to bring them back in now that I'm getting more settled with my routine. So I like play around with it. And then Thursdays is a focus for coaching. So all the coaching with my other clients, which are lifestyle coachings, those happen on Thursdays. And if I don't have a coaching booked in or a call, then I have a coaching focus, and I keep my coaching focus, and I leave myself that time block of the day, and that time batch that for that day. So I'm batching all the coaching stuff on Thursdays, where I can start creating. I can do work on my websites. If you guys have like a business or a side hustle or whatever, and you're like, I need to do my website, I need to work on my offer, but you have no day dedicated to that, when are you going to do it? You're not going to do it at night when you put your kids to bed and you want to go to bed. You need to have a day where it's dedicated and time batched for certain things. So Thursday is my coaching, and so if I have a no call booked in, same thing for like the Tuesday, if I have less meetings, I'll start strategic working on HR consultancy. I'll start strategic working on coaching on Thursdays. And then Friday, it's again, I go back to the office and I do a lot of HR. For me, that's like the bulk of my work right now is HR consultancy. That's where I have the most like hours needed to be I need to invest the most hours because I'm really invested. I'm a partner with this group of restaurants and bars, so I really need to focus and have those days specific. But my coaching is really important to me as well, so that's on Thursdays. And then my personal life is really important to me with my family and taking care of myself, my babies, so that's Mondays and Wednesdays. So this is how you time batch, and this is how you're able to really, like I said, put those tasks in those days and get those tasks done so that you feel that you can fully immerse yourself in the day that you are at. So for me right now, today is my podcast, and I can fully immerse myself in my Wednesday because I know that on the other days, the other tasks can be taken care of. So this is really going to free your brain. It's going to help you so much to get clear. If you have ADHD or if you're hyperactive like me, you'll really be able to get clear on what is happening on what day and make sure that things are getting taken care of so that you can fully be present and show up on the days that you are doing certain things. If you don't time batch and you're not clear, it's not going to help you because you'll be doing all of the things all of the time and you'll never be fully present. Time batching helps you really get deeply focused and deeply present in things that you want to get prioritized in your life, and it'll help you so much get clear on get your priorities happening and build momentum on your priorities and actually start achieving your goals. Okay, so it has to be in your calendar, in your week, in your daily today. You really need to have tasks in your calendar that are supporting and going towards your goals, going towards your priorities. This brings me to my last tip, which is time blocking. So within your day, let's say for me for today, I have a time blocks within my Wednesday because my Wednesday is kind of a joker card. It's in the middle of the week. I want to keep it joker kind of. So it's personal, but it's also like the podcast and social media. So I have, let's say in the morning, it's time blocked for filming content. So I'm gonna film my podcast, I'm gonna film my reels, I'll edit my reels, and it's also time blocked in the afternoon for a bit of HR. So there's a block in the afternoon, and there's a block also for the home because I have someone helping me with cleaning on Wednesdays, and so she's helping me, and it also motivates me when she's there to get stuff done. So I also make sure that I'm touching base on the house stuff, maybe doing a house project. So there's a time block for that as well. So within your time batch, so your focus of the day, you have time blocks. And if you look at it on your 24 hours, you also have time blocks where, for me, starting around 4:35, that's a time block that starts every single day, which is my mommy time block. And I'm doing stuff with my kids. So my oldest is coming home from daycare. I have the baby. I'm making us food. I'm playing with the baby. I'm with my partner. It's a family time block till 7:30 till he goes to bed. And then a new time block starts where it's literally we're chilling. 7:30, it's my chilling. I'm either I'm reading a book, which is wholesome, but sometimes I'm doing TikTok like everybody else. I'm not perfect. Sometimes I'm on social media. Sometimes I'm actually doing a bit of work. That doesn't happen that much unless I'm very motivated. But it's my time to have the bath, to close off my day, to watch a show with my partner. It's my time to let go. So within my week, there's time batches where all certain tendencies or certain kind of days are happening that have big focuses, overreaching focuses. And then within that, there are time blocks where things are happening, where an appointment is happening. So that's blocked out for that. Certain meetings are happening. So let's say on Wednesdays, it's HR focused, but for coaching for meetings. So I have a block in the afternoon where it's calls that I have in regards to that. It's very focused, but it's happening at that time. And that helps you so much because if you're, let's say, booking a 30-minute call on Monday, a 30-minute call on a Thursday, a 30-minute call on a Wednesday morning, that means that those 3 different 30-minute calls are 1 hour and a half. If you block them together and you do them on a Wednesday afternoon per se, you'll be fully focused and fully doing that. Whereas if you're doing 30 minutes, 30 minutes, 30 minutes throughout your week on 3 different days, it's going to take you time to get into the mood, to do that call, to get in the zone. And then it's literally overwhelming you because you have to take some time to get into the task, deep dive, start getting focused. They say it takes you 26 minutes to get really focused and in the groove. So if you're doing 3 different calls, instead of doing a time block where you're booking all the same type of calls in an hour and a half, 2 hour block, you're taxing your brain so much. You're asking your brain to get focused for 3 different moments instead of just one. So try this out, time block. If you're just doing time blocking first and you don't want to time batch because that's too overwhelming for you, at least look at your day and how you can time block. Can you time block emails? Are you answering emails throughout your whole day? And messages and WhatsApp and literal text messages and WhatsApp, you also need to treat those as things that are taking your energy. So you want to batch them together and you want to block them. You can even decide on a day where Mondays I answer all my texts of the week. and I don't answer them the whole week. Like that's something that I do, and I sometimes decide to like never answer them. And when I have like a literal open space, then I look at it, then I answer it. Okay, so we need to wrap this up. It's a dense podcast. There's a lot of information. Hopefully it was really clear and it helped you, and it's great tips and intakes or inputs that you can start using and start applying to your life to be more intentional with your planning. Do not forget, in order to be intentional with the tricks I gave you of time blocking, time batching, which are going to save your life because they'll make you more fulfilled, more focused, more present when you're doing the things that you want to do in your calendar. But you really need to, first of all, like I said in the beginning, and we focused a lot on this today, get clear on your priorities, your values, what it is right now, so that you have a vision for your life, and that when you're using productivity tips, tricks, and tools, you're actually aligned and you're actually pushing towards a vision, so that those tools are actually going to be fulfilling and productive and actually aligned, so that you'll actually get something from it. Why am I saying actually 20 million times? Like, what's going on? Oh, my brain today is like something else. Yes, I hope that all these tips were really helpful for you guys. I want you to get clear, number one, on your priorities, your values, and make those categories. So get your Google Calendar open or your paper agenda and make categories, make different calendars for your categories so that you're prioritizing your priorities and your values. And number two was time batching. So choose specific days for certain themes. So let's say you can batch 2 different themes, but for me it was like the HR consultancy for one day. Another day was like home and like self-love and my family and meals. And so get clear on certain themes for certain days of the week and time batch all your tasks into that. And then within your days, I want you to time block. I want you to block out times, and I want you to identify time blocks that you already have in your day, because I'm sure you have them already. Like I said, for me, 4 to 7 is like the kids every single day, so I know they're with me, and on weekends it's fully blocked out for them, and then I'll block in like family time or like activities. So get clear on the blocks that are already there, put them in your calendar so you have a big view of like what's already happening in your week. And I want you to let me know how you like these tasks when you start using them, if they're helping you get more streamlined and actually start getting momentum on those goals and those dreams that you had. And I'm so excited for you to start using these tips. Please subscribe to the podcast if you liked this podcast and you want more. Let me know in the comments or by DMing me on social media, on Instagram, to let me know what it is that you liked from this podcast, what it is that you want to hear more on, what it is that you want tips or tricks on that I can coach you on. And whatever you're struggling with right now, let me know. Hit me up on social media, on Instagram, DM me, send me an email if you'd like, so that I can show up for you guys and give you so much value in this podcast, and that you guys can have so many takeaways in order to have a better, more fulfilled life and live your life to the fullest. That's why this is called the Live Fully podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in. I am so grateful to spend this time with you. Hopefully these tricks really help you, and we will speak next Thursday for the new podcast. Bye, guys.